Instead, we
Who
have seen a
cares?
boom of
Stop
inclusion, which
obsessing
has
over it.
widened the borders of the community to include anyone who feels different from their peers or does not feel they fit in. As a result, recent surveys have found that 1 in 6 adult members of Generation Z, those aged 18 to 23 in 2020, identify as LGBT in comparison to
Awesome.
lower numbers in each previous generation.
Yeah.
While some may
Yeah, because we're not considering people freaks for being queer. Wow, imagine how that works. Pull up the left-handed chart sometime. Teach yourself a thing or
argue
two.
that this rise is merely from a rise in acceptance, when
Yes,
groups like demisexuals,
that is the
asexuals,
obvious
genderqueer, and
answer.
non-binary are added to the roster, anyone can just opt in to this oppressed group.
Yeah!
With
Crazy, right? You can. You can literally just opt in. Yeah, come on over. It's all about acceptance as long as you're doing it honestly. So yes, just be honest with yourself and with us. That's it. If you're being dishonest, we'll root you out. So I wanted to take a look at this video that somebody also sent in the juice box in the Discord server. If you want to suggest videos, spicy content, what have you, for me to look at, you can join the Discord server by following the QR code that Dubsy always leaves somewhere on the screen, or you can follow the link in the description below. Get to the Discord server, leave me some spicy content to react to. In this case, we'll be going over this video called Asexuals Are Not LGBT from Runaway Siren 940. I am but another human hoping to pay rent and usually succeeding. Posts on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Breeding. Okay. Interesting. Egg. Transgender tails, both brothers. I don't care if she what? This is not feminist even if she chooses to. What the Gender cult, it's not science, it's faith. God. Oh boy. We might have hit a gold mine here. All right, this was the specific video though, so let's take a look.
I hate June. It's the first real month of summer when the Georgia heat makes a 10-foot walk from my house to my car feel like a trek into the desert. It's when the windows are rolled down for every
Why are you showing all these things on screen? I can't possibly read these, but I will. The term allosexual is homophobic and transphobic in its usage. Is it? Because there's asexual and allosexual. Yeah, that's not homophobic and transphobic. It implies that allosexual people oppress asexual people by experiencing sexual attraction. No, it's just a distinction. It's not that deep. It's not that deep. It's just a distinction. The only reason we have the distinction is because there are some people who want to have sex and some people who don't. Like that's the reason. It's not because one group is necessarily oppressing another. Not necessarily. LGBT people aren't privileged for experiencing sexual attraction and are in fact demonized for it. I do think that asexual is like one of the sexualities, like the distinction between being sexual and not being sexual is something that will persist beyond the borders of gender. Like all the other categories of gender and sexuality basically fall apart if you're a gender abolitionist. But asexual is the one surviving sexuality. Like that is the one that will persist. Allosexual versus asexual. Because there are some people that don't have sexual desire and don't want, like, it's a spectrum to be sure, but there are some people who don't experience sexual desire or have a very limited sexual desire. So, like, that is one of the sexualities that will persist beyond gender. It is I don't know, it seems pretty obvious to me. That doesn't mean that, like, allosexual people are necessarily abusing or oppressing asexual people. That's not what that distinction means. It's just like a distinction.
my house to my car feel like a trek into the desert. It's when the windows are
Oh, I didn't even finish reading this. I forgot. LGBT people aren't privileged for experiencing sexual attraction and are in fact demonized for it. It also ascribes sexual attraction to people who aren't comfortable with that. It also groups LGBT people with their oppressors, as if an allosexual lesbian would be able to oppress a cis. No, this is Depression Olympics. This is stupid.
10-foot walk from my house to my car feel like a trek into the desert. It's when the
I will never forgive the community on this site for the years of ace discourse, quote unquote. We were being actively hated for our orientations and everyone just treated it like a debate topic or mocked us for being affected by it. It became such a widespread thing to laugh at that even people who were otherwise okay with us were reblogging aphobic memes and getting mad that we couldn't take a joke when we were upset by it. And today people who got swept up in aphobic movements look back at that term like, haha, I was such a cringe teen for participating in ace discourse rather than I was shitty and bigoted and I sincerely regret it. A lot of them probably still are aphobic but just don't talk about it anymore because it's no longer trendy. I mean, society itself is pretty aphobic. Like, you can say that, like, you know, it was cringe or whatever, but like society itself is extremely aphobic. Like, everything, so much is about sexuality. And there doesn't seem to be very many safe spaces for people who not only aren't interested in it, but are perhaps repulsed by it. You know, I'm not saying that like they suffer horrifically or anything, but like it does suck. It kind of sucks, you know? That's kind of shitty. I think it's fine to recognize that.
It's when the windows are rolled down for every car ride, music turned up loud enough to alert my neighbors every time I come barreling into the driveway. It's the time of ice cream and lightning bugs and homemade wine drunk straight from
God, realizing you can like people aesthetically without it dictating your sexuality is so liberating. Like, one can adore even okay, I got it.
the mason jar. And it's Pride Month. A few years ago, I didn't mind it. Atlanta
I'm
Pride isn't
done.
until
Nope, no
October,
more.
as having it in June is courting massive numbers of heat stroke victims, but all of the stores have their rainbow gear out.
Pause it yourself and read it if you want. I'm done reading this shit.
The commercials begin to air with their token gay storylines, and it seems, if just for a moment, that people care. And then I make the mistake of going online. See, once you've settled into your skin, the so-called support of major corporations is far easier to recognize for what it is: pandering. Others might complain with you, but truthfully, many still fall for the token recognition and for the consumerist trap of needing things to validate their identities, be it packers, binders, or flag pins for identity.
Packers and binders are literally things that people need. That's a necessity for trans people. What? That's like a dysphoria thing. That's not like some luxury item.
Is so obscure, no one offline will ever recognize them for what they are. Worse still are the yearly arguments about pride. Who's allowed in? Who's to be excluded? Every year, the arguments are the same. And every
Asexual people can be LGBT, yes.
year, we
They're
get
oppressed in
closer
similar
to seeing
manners.
actual gay men and women excluded from the movement meant to uplift them.
Who cares? Who gives a shit? Who cares? Yeah, let them be part of the movement. Great. Got it.
Instead, we
Who
have seen a
cares?
boom of
Stop
inclusion, which
obsessing
has
over it.
widened the borders of the community to include anyone who feels different from their peers or does not feel they fit in. As a result, recent surveys have found that 1 in 6 adult members of Generation Z, those aged 18 to 23 in 2020, identify as LGBT in comparison to
Awesome.
lower numbers in each previous generation.
Yeah.
While some may
Yeah, because we're not considering people freaks for being queer. Wow, imagine how that works. Pull up the left-handed chart sometime. Teach yourself a thing or
argue
two.
that this rise is merely from a rise in acceptance, when
Yes.
groups like demisexuals,
That is the
asexuals,
obvious
genderqueer, and
answer.
non-binary are added to the roster, anyone can just opt in to this oppressed group.
Yeah.
With
Crazy, right? You can. You can literally just opt in. Yeah. Come on over. It's all about acceptance as long as you're doing it honestly. So I ask, just be honest with yourself and with us. That's it. If you're being dishonest, we'll root you out. Because what comes with dishonesty is bigotry. It always shows its ugly head, every time. So just be honest, be yourself, and you are welcome. That's LGBT in a nutshell.
how much attention has gone towards ensuring that minority groups are heard and not mistreated, many in the oppressor groups, namely white people and men, have figured out the easiest way to opt out of scrutiny.
Yeah, there's nothing bad about being more inclusive. I'm technically LGBT, but I still usually consider myself an ally, even though I'm bisexual. Okay? I'm literally gay in some people's eyes. Literally. Okay? Not all the way. I don't just man. I've never a man. I've never even kissed a man. I've been on one date with one guy and that's it. I'm attracted to some guys, not very many. All right. So I'm technically part of the LGBT community and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being more inclusive. Nothing, not a thing.
And mindfulness about their own actions is by taking advantage of the LGBT community's sudden inclusionary urge. So let's discuss what's wrong with pride, one topic at a time. Number 1. Asexuals do not have a place at pride.
Asexual people.
Asexuals are people who do not experience sexual attraction to anyone. It is a lack of sexuality. This seemingly simple definition has broadened over the
You're literally like doing the dehumanizing thing by saying asexuals.
years to include people.
I know that seems small, but to me that feels important. Like you wouldn't say like the homosexuals. Like I don't know. It just feels weird.
People that want to have sex but not all the time, to those who are only interested in pornography instead of real relationships, to those who only want to have sex when they know someone well and have feelings for them. The number of people who identify as asexual has grown greatly over the past 10 years, similarly
Great,
to
who
how the
cares?
number of people identifying as trans has grown dramatically over the past
Great,
few
who
years,
cares?
which continues to
The only reason that would be a problem is if you're saying that there's something inherently wrong with being ace or trans.
reflect a concerted issue with the
Only reason.
relaxation of definitions, causing a larger group to be able to identify with something, and thus changing the word itself to become basically meaningless. Originally, it was believed
And that is why I'm a gender abolitionist.
that there was a very small number of people who were asexual and that this tended to stem from trauma. In other words, asexuality was seen as a trauma response and not a sexuality as we consider it to be today. I do believe that there are people who are bisexual and able to be attracted to both sexes, so there must be
Okay?
people who are attracted to none.
Yes.
I'm not arguing that asexuality is entirely made up. What I am arguing is that many people who
Yeah, not entirely, right? Yeah.
identify as such are misinformed, and that the overall culture surrounding sexuality and its acceptance stems from homophobia and misogyny. I also do not
I
believe that there is a
disagree.
need to include asexuals in the LGBT community, which is founded on two principles which unites us: same sex attraction and being oppressed on that basis.
So you're transphobic then, right? Like that because the LGBT community is not just about sexuality, it's also about identity. So you're just transphobic then.
There has yet to be a systemic or even true interpersonal oppression or stigma against people who
Because that definition would insinuate that trans people don't belong in in the LGBT community either.
don't want to have sex, no matter what the myriad of positivity
How would identifying as asexual be homophobic and misogynistic? Don't ask me. I'm not the one asserting this.
posts and stories about times when someone's mom was rude about them coming out
Yeah,
as
very
having a
turfy,
low
yeah.
sex drive might try and convince you. People might think you're weird. They might try and make annoying comments if you bring up being ace. But the difference between the discomfort an asexual person may feel at the mention of sex differs greatly from the systemic, as in governmentally and societally based oppression. People being mean to you is not the same as
This is just oppression Olympics bullshit. Shut the up, okay? Stop. You're an oppression Olympics champion, okay? You get the gold medal. Congratulations. Go home now. Nobody wants to see or hear you.
state-approved
Shut the
conversion
up.
therapy, electroshock therapy, arrest, and criminal prosecution. Not to mention, given that
Ace people suffer
asexuality is
too.
lack of sexuality, there seems to be little shared ground between them and the LGBT community. Nothing besides a feeling of being othered and of being weird, and
Which, there's nothing that would imply that people who feel othered should be included with each other, right? There's certainly not a reason for the brown and black stripes on the pride flag now, right? Hello?
that is not enough. Any accounts of pressure to have sex
People
or
who are
rape can
oppressed
be
gotta stick
ascribed not
together.
to
That's
aphobia,
important.
but to the same fact
The only thing that unites us is our oppression. Yeah. Interesting, that, isn't it? Wow. Huh. I never would have considered this, honestly. That's why T belongs in LGBT. Even though it's an identity-based, it's a gender identity thing rather than a sexuality thing. And ace is a sexuality thing, by the way. Asexual. The term sexual is in there. Okay? That's a sexuality thing. So yes, they belong there.
factors that any woman faces: misogyny and heteronormativity. If an asexual woman
Ace people are always being dismissed as you haven't found the right one yet, or I will make you love it again. Yeah, it's disgusting. Some people just don't want to have sex, and those people consider themselves asexual. That's fine.
counts of pressure to have sex or rape can be ascribed not to
Oh, here we go. Sorry, it's right here.
identity. Nothing besides a feeling of being othered and of being weird, and that is not enough. Any accounts of pressure to have sex or can be ascribed not to acephobia, but to the same factors that any woman faces:
I mean, no. Like, ace people are specifically because they are ace sometimes. That is a thing that happens. Yeah. Like, it's disgusting, but it happens.
misogyny and heteronormativity. If an asexual woman is correctly, how is that any different than being because you were frigid,
Correctly.
sexually unavailable, or just uninterested? The argument that they are oppressed because they are not in relationships is also invalid, as plenty of lesbian
This is just so weird that we would compare this shit. Like, why compare the suffering of an ace person who was to like other women who underwent that? Like, what is the point here? Yeah, they can be part of the community. Great. Now we don't have to argue this bullshit. Now you don't have to compare their trauma to ours. Okay? And do the oppression Olympics. Let them in. Yeah, great. Open the floodgates. It.
And gay, bi, and
It's
straight
inclusivity.
people are also unmarried.
It's inclusivity.
And the problem of bias due to relationship status is not unique to the ace community. Not to mention, many in the ace community believe themselves to have the same level of oppression as same-sex attracted individuals and demand the same level of care and attention for their problems while exhibiting homophobic behaviors under the guise of demanding a place at the table. Now every gay couple is met with a, but it would be better if they were queer platonic friends, and Pride Month is filled with concerns about how the kissing, hand-holding gays make the asexuals at Pride feel uncomfortable.
I've never seen this. I've never seen this. It would be better if they were platonic friends instead. I mean, I'm sure some people have said that, sure, but like this is not an overwhelming problem. If you are actually concerned about the LGBT community, there are people who are doing way more damage to it than ace people. Asexuals, this is the hill you're dying on, and you want to tell me that you're a ally. Get the out of here. This is such bullshit.
Asexual discourse also promotes worrying ideas about children and
You're just
sexuality.
looking for an excuse. You know what this is? Looking for an excuse to punch down. To punch down. And I don't give a if you want to like say that, oh, asexuals aren't technically like more oppressed than homosexuals or lesbians. I'm not doing oppression Olympics. I'm saying you see asexuals as lesser than you and you are punching down. You're punching down at what you perceive to be lower than you. That's what punching down is, and that's what you're doing. It's disgusting. Stop. And you're doing oppression Olympics. Ew. Ew.
You'll find quite a lot of discussion of
I'd
child
rather be called
characters on
slurs.
television shows, as well as loud proclamations
At
of
least that's
actual
honest.
children online who state that they are asexual.
Someone calls you a slur, you know exactly what the they meant. You don't know what this lady's saying, like, or where she's coming from. She's like trying to like do she's trying to come at this from a woke angle. Shut the up. We know what you are.
No.
We know what you are.
No, you are not. You don't have a sex drive because you are pre or mid-puberty and haven't left high school yet, and are likely alienated from your own feelings due to societal pressures that have sexualized and commodified your
If a teen wants to identify as asexual, just let them. They can identify as gay. They can identify as straight. Why not asexual? Yeah, that's fine. Maybe they'll grow out of it, okay? But like, sometimes they don't. And it's not like a matter of growth anyway. It's just a matter of preference. Some people don't prefer sex ever at all, and that's fine, okay? So I hesitate to say grow out of it for lack of better words, but you know what I meant. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes it changes. But sometimes it doesn't. So just let them identify as that. Who cares? Who cares?
Another problem is the inclusion of people who do have a sexuality, but find that it's not as broad as societal expectations set them up to believe. We live in a society that demands sex as much as it punishes it, that both glorifies and demonizes it. People on the ace and eros spectrum feel that their relationships are unique because they don't center around sex 24/7. This stems from a misunderstanding of how everyone else is. Instead of understanding that everyone's relationships and interactions with sex are different, asexuals believe that there is some homogeneous relationship to sex and love that the rest of the world is partaking in.
I think asexuals believe that they just don't want to have sex. I don't think that it like goes this deep, lady. I don't think that. I don't think most asexuals think beyond, you know what? I'd actually rather not have sex, you know? Or like very specific instances in which you would have sex and you still consider yourself asexual, like on that spectrum. That's fine. Who cares? Who cares? Stop whinging.
That they are somehow excluded from. They misinterpret their own personalities' likes and dislikes as being an entirely separate sexuality instead of merely being aspects of their own personal experience. Nothing about your relationship to sex or love makes you more or less LGBT. If you are gay and don't want to have sex ever, you are still gay. If you are cisgender and straight and only feel capable of sexual desire for long...
Yeah, you may be romantically gay and asexual. Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah. Romantic gay, asexual. Romantic homosexual would be the technical term. I know that Dylan Burns, for instance, is homoromantic bisexual. Isn't that interesting? Usually he just calls himself gay because he doesn't want to sit there and explain that. But that's technically what he goes by, homoromantic bisexual. There's all kinds of interesting stuff, you know? You can be aromantic asexual, you can be romantic asexual, and you can be aromantic sexual, allosexual, okay? That's fine. Nothing wrong with it.
Long-term monogamous partners, and even then, only on Tuesday mornings and Friday nights, you're still straight.
It's not just Tuesday mornings and Friday nights, and you know that's bullshit, and that's right-wing rhetoric.
You haven't discovered a new class of heterosexuality that is queer or different. Rather, every person whose heterosexuality is different in how they perform or experience it. You are the same in your difference. A cishet who doesn't ever want sex because of trauma is no more or less cishet than one who wants sex all the time because of trauma.
Functionally, they're asexual. They want to identify as asexual because they never want to have sex. It doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter. The only reason you'd care is if you imply that being asexual is bad, which you're doing. You're explaining why you think it's bad in a very shitty way that I don't agree with at all. It's just oppression Olympics, once again. But that's the only reason you'd see a problem with it. Who cares
Or
where it came
cishet
from?
who doesn't want sex because they don't feel sexual attraction or whatever else. Gayness, straightness, and
Functionally,
bisexuality
they're
are not
asexual.
defined
They're
by
not
how
having
you do
sex.
or don't want sex, or how you do or don't want to date. It's just defined by who you want to be with. There are infinite ways for how you can be gay, straight, or bi, and none of them are separate identities. Asexuality is, in the kindest interpretation, a lack of sexuality, a response to trauma, or hormonal imbalance.
This is literally just right-wing rhetoric repackaged for asexual people. You're doing the thing. You are doing the thing. Do you understand that? All of this comes right out of the right-wing playbook. Every bit of it. That's crazy. How do you not see what you're doing right now? Right now, while saying that asexual people are not oppressed. You have the nerve, the absolute gall. You are doing the thing.
The split attraction model that has been popularized by the ace community states that one can be romantically attracted and sexually attracted on different axes, and that is simply not true. Romantic attraction has a basis in sexual attraction, hence why it's called
Oh my god, dumped by her ace honey. True caretaker. Yeah. She got dumped by her ace ex. Yeah. That's what this is all about.
sexuality. Hence why so many people misinterpret an appreciation for beauty for romantic attraction and believe
Rightfully
themselves
so.
to be sexuality
She
that they
deserves to be
simply
dumped.
aren't. All in all, while the world may not be fully accepting of asexuality at times, people are not oppressed on the basis of asexuality.
Yes, they are. What the f are you on about? Yeah, they are. Like I said, there are people who are sexually abused as a result of being asexual. As a direct result. Yes, that happens. Yep. It's a power thing, okay? It's a, I can change her thing. You know? I'll be the one who awakens her. Okay? It's disgusting. It's freak shit. And you're actually doing apologia for it. This is literal apologia. I'm fine saying that. I'm comfortable saying that. This is apologia.
The lack of sexual attraction means that there is little in common with those of us who are same-sex attracted, and therefore our communities have no need to intersect. By all means, make your own communities
And aphobia.
Groups, but stop trying to conflate a lack of sexual attraction, or worse, a very specific form of sexual attraction, to being gay. Lesbian, gays, and bisexuals are not exclusionists for saying so. If you lack romantic or sexual attraction, you have no place in a community focused around same-sex, romantic, and sexual attraction.
You have no place here in our inclusive community. You know, the one known for its exclusivity. You have no place in our LGBT community. There is no place for you. The f are you talking about? There's no place for you on the basis of what? Your sexuality? I think not. I think not. How dare you? Dumbass.
And there's
Idiot.
nothing wrong with saying that. How else are we supposed to share
Except
our
that
own
it's wrong.
experiences, find similar individuals, or use the community to campaign
You're
for our
just
rights?
wrong.
The unique problems that we face differ greatly from the online bullying or lack of
This is
validation that you do.
stupid.
But, hey, it's a well-proven
And this garbage in front of my face has been distracting me this entire time. Stop! Either have something on the screen that you're reading, or don't have anything on the screen at all. It is distracting as shit, and there is no shot that I can read through all of this. Why did you put it there? Learn basic video design.
circumstance that those in the gender fandom dislike being told
What a
that they are
horrific video
trespassing,
all the
so
way through.
I
Down
guess
to the
it's not really
bone.
anything
Rotten.
new. This, dear viewers, is where we part.
Ugh. Thank God.
I think this is really mostly just an issue for Pride Month, but it also extends beyond Pride Month in that what we talk about in Pride Month affects, you know, yearly. Like, you'll find quite a lot of discussion.
Sorry, we were at the end and I f***ed up. Yeah, and hold on, I was looking at the comic. Yeah, people can also have sex and be asexual too. Like, you can be fine having sex and just not enjoy it, but want to do it for your partner. That's fine too.
Like, people will be like, yes, I'm ace, and so therefore I can talk over gay people and say that, oh, that gay kiss that was in that show, that was, revolutionary because they've never had a gay kiss in China before. They should have made them be friends.
This is right-wing
instead, because we
rhetoric.
need
She's
ace
an op.
representation.
Op.
Like, it's just
Op.
a cover for
Op.
being homophobic to an
Point.
extent.
Point at her, chat.
Or it's
Op.
a deeper seated issue, and if it is, again, we don't have a place here. Go find your own groups. Go make your own groups.
People stare.
Don't try to conflate everything that's weird or strange to be under the same umbrella, because we're not, and we don't share that much in common to begin with. Anyhow, you know how this goes. Likes, comments, subscribes, all that shit. Let me know what you think. You know what you want to talk about.
Rancid. Disgusting. How dare you? Aphobia isn't real. Proceeds down the holy grail of aphobic rhetoric. Jesus, like literally just repackaged rhetoric toward ace people while claiming that they have no oppression done against them. That's insane. That's insane. You are an insane person and apologist. Fuck you. How dare you? Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.